Jomvu. In Nairobi, the 13 cases are from Kibra 10, Langata, Kasarani, Dagoretti North, each have 1 case. In Busia, 9 of the 10 recorded cases are of truck drivers from Malaba border point.
81 nurses countrywide are said to have contracted coronavirus on the line of duty while attending to patients. This is according to a statement issued by the Doctors Union, KMPDU, which has further stated that 60% of these infections of nurses are as a result of poor working conditions. Now the union has instructed the government to provide protective gear and add more practitioners to enable them to cater for the increasing number of infections.
With the directive of the President to set up a 300-bed capacity facility, we have to remember one thing, that capacity, the 300-bed capacity facility, is not just the building, it's not just the beds, it slightly goes beyond that to take care of the workers who will be working there. And that's why our position is, as you set up those facilities, make sure you have matching numbers of healthcare workers who are going to work there. So make sure you have doctors there, make sure you have nurses there, make sure you have lab technicians there across all cadres. We don't want a case where you have a building, you have a facility, but we don't have people to work there.
We have the projections that each 300-bed facility will require in terms of human resources for health. 636 doctors, 1,000 nurses, 360 clinical officers, 572 laboratory personnel, among other personnel, including porters, morticians, cleaners. And so we appeal to the summit, as it convenes, to consider further budgetary allocations for the HRH component. And we acknowledge that so far 8,000 have been hired, but these projections that we have to ensure that there is quality and efficient service delivery in the isolation facilities is an additional 5,000. We still advocate for provision of adequate and quality personal protective equipment. And today we'd like to state the data of healthcare workers who've been infected with COVID-19 since we began. This data is the latest we have as of end of the week, last week. A total of 81 healthcare workers across different areas in this country. And 60% of these healthcare worker infections are workplace related. That is in the quarantine centers and contact with COVID-19 patients in the hospitals, either knowingly or unknowingly. And by unknowingly, I mean a patient comes with symptoms, you attend the patient, and when the results come back later, the patient has tested positive. Even patients undergoing emergency surgical treatment, elective surgical procedures, are now a risk factor to healthcare workers.
Although what Kenyans expected from the president did not happen, lockdown in different parts of Kenya have been lifted, with ESTHER being one of them, as Margaret Kamau reports.
Borders have been closed in different parts of the country, ESTHER being one of them, but on the 6th of June, the president announced opening of the borders and now life is back to normal. In our visit to ESTHER, we were welcomed by smiling faces, hawkers, buyers and sellers, and matatu businesses operating as normal, and we talked to several residents who gave us their view. Patrick, who is a boda operator, explained to us that although he's happy that the borders have been opened, business is not good, and that as compared to when the virus was not there, where he would earn at least 500 shillings per day, he only manages to get hand to mouth and life is hard.
wakati corona haikuwa, biashara ilikuwa juu. Kwa zilikuwa unapata kama saa hizi ulikuwa umeisha muramura, umepata kaa 500 yako. But saa hizi kupata kazi hata ni ngumu.
We met with Simon and Patrick, who carry loads using carts, and they explained that life is hard at this time, especially with the coronavirus pandemic, and that putting something on the table is a problem.
Maisha imekuwa mbaya. Hata utume tuko hivi. Kazi hata kupata kazi ni kazi ngumu.
Hata venye amefungwa hivi mpaka ni venye sahi kazi bado haijarudi vizuri, si ndio? Sasa na daraja ile kidogo tunapata ndio tunavumilia nayo.
Ibn Kimathi, a boda operator, explained that he is greatly happy that the borders has been open and now that he can freely go in and out of the town. But he said although all this has happened, he asked the government to look into church issues and open churches and mosques.
Siwezi nikasema nilifurahia Isili imefunguliwa ama ilifungwa ikafunguliwa. Ile ilikuwa muhimu ni afungue makanisa, sababu makanisa ndio watu wanashikana, wanaomba, tunafunguliwa. Unaona? Ndio hii corona iwezi kuondolewa, Mungu apate kuturumia tuondolee. Tulihitaji kushikana mikono tuombe pia sisi konjundi.
Ibrahim Mohammed and Yasin Hassan, businessmen who sell suitcases and other items, say they are happy that the borders are now opened and explain that the business is not back to its state and pleaded to the government to open up mosques and places of worship.
Biashara bado haijaendelea, ito vile vile na imelala sana, lakini ya Mungu ni mengi, wanasemanga ya Mungu ni mengi, ya tutu ni mayai. Tunashukuru bado Mungu, lakini tuendelee kuomba, na ningeomba tafadhali government at least hata kama biashara na boda itafunguliwa, mahali ya ibada ifunguliwe, kanisa, msikiti. Unajua ukionga wa Afrika sisi huwa tunategemea Mungu.
Fatma Abdallah Ahoka presses her pain that life is not easy and calls the government to help them with food and other equipment during this pandemic, and also pleads for the opening of worship centers.
Hakuna mabadiliko, maisha iko vile vile. Biashara hakuna. Mimi nauza mask lakini hakuna mtu mwenye ananunua. Hata wenye maduka pia hakuna mtu mwenye ananunua. Biashara bado iko chini. Na raia wanalalamika ile msaada yenye Uhuru alitangaza atatupea, hakuna mwenye amepata. Sisi tunaishi kwa slums na hakuna hiyo msaada tumepata. Watu wengi wanadaiwa rent, hatujalipa nyumba, tunadaiwa stima, bado hivyo chakula hatuna.
This is where the roadblocks by the government had been placed and now they're not there, meaning freedom is there to go in and out of Isili. Reporting for Mwangaza TV, I'm Margaret Kamau. Chief Justice David Maraga has accused President Uhuru Kenyatta of refusing to meet him to discuss the stalled appointment of 41 judges proposed by the Judicial Commission or Service Commission. Maraga said Uhuru's refusal to swear in the judges has contributed to the backlog of cases currently being experienced in the judiciary. Wanjiku Mbogo reports.
Today at Supreme Court of Kenya, Chief Justice David Maraga has expressed himself publicly due to the failure of the president to appoint the 41 judges recommended by the JSC. Issuing a statement this morning on the upscaling open court without compromising the Ministry of Health guidelines on combating the spread of COVID-19, Maraga has also warned Kenyans on the increase of number of pending cases, which causes delay as a result of less judges, saying that the situation is worse at the Court of Appeal, which has only 15 judges serving the whole republic.
That I advise Kenyans on the state of our case backlog, which has now been exacerbated by the downscaling of the court operations during this period of pandemic. It is important that Kenyans understand that even as the courts begin to upscale operations to include in-person operations, they will find extremely congested court diaries and dockets. The backlog of cases has built up quite aggressively since March 15th this year.
He also added that the situation is not only better at Labor Relation Court, which has only 12 judges, and this shortage of judges is caused by the president's refusal to swear in 41 judges as recommended by Judicial Service Commission.
It is for this reason that I must remind you, Your Excellency, that you swore to defend and uphold the Constitution and the laws of Kenya. The Constitution, as the two multi-judge court cases held, requires you to appoint judges recommended to you by the JSC, which you have refused to do. The laws of this country include valid court orders. It therefore behoves you to appoint the 41 judges recommended for appointment by the JSC as ordered by the court without any further delay.
And to his letter to the president, he said that president should not forget he swore to defend and uphold the constitution of the law, and that he pledged to respect the rule of law, and president should demonstrate that faith and respect for the rule of law by complying with those two court orders. It is at Supreme Court in Nairobi County where Chief Justice David Maraga has addressed this morning, saying that there are some issues that the government should look upon. One of them being the eviction of Kariobangi residents. Another one being the accident caused by government vehicles and so many other things. Reporting from Mwangaza TV, Prime News at 9, I am Wanjikombogo.
A family in Nakuru Section 58 Estate is calling for a thorough probe at the Nakuru Level 5 hospital after their newborn was allegedly switched with a dead one. Alice Ochuka, the victim, has said she delivered a bouncing baby boy at the hospital through cesarean section. However, after 2 days of breastfeeding the baby, she was informed he had died. Maggie Campbell has the details.
Currently, the situation from March to date and extending to September, the situation will not be favorable to the BOM and the private school teachers. We've seen funds have been set aside for this other industry. We call it the tourism industry, the music industry also. But the question is, what about Mwalimu? What about the teachers? Teachers are also assailable. They are also vulnerable. It is also time for our president to also think otherwise for the teachers. They need to feed their families. They need to pay their bills. The current situation with the private schools is the customer, who is also the pupil in the school, is not in school. So private schools, most of them cannot raise that money to pay their teachers. Therefore, we are calling for the government, especially our president. You spoke well on Saturday. Speak well now. Talk about the teachers. Without teachers in the society, there is no society there. The schools were closed indefinitely. Parents had not been warned. Fee had not been completed. So even if we push them to the walls, where will they get the monies to pay us? And that's why we are coming out and we are saying that we are also assailable, we are also vulnerable. We also need a share of that money that the president had given out for the vulnerable.
We are lacking representation completely, and the government is silent on us. Our cry today is that the government should hear us. We have siblings to take care of. We have families to take care of. And we have no one to run to but the government. And the silence is really killing us. We are requesting that you do something and you also help us hear our cry nationwide so that we get something to take care of our families.
That story from Nakuru takes us to a short commercial break. Stay tuned because I'll be right back with more news after the break.
Unatazama Mwangaza TV, tumaini lako.
Je, wewe ni mwanabiashara na ungependa biashara yako kuimarika hata zaidi? Na je, ungependa kusimamia mojawapo ya vipindi vyetu? Basi usitie shaka, tuko hapa kwa ajili yako. Kwa habari zaidi zungumza na idara yetu ya mauzo kupitia nambari ifuatayo 0705 4777772 au pia unaweza tufikia kwa barua pepe info@mwangazatv.co.ke. na Mungu akubariki. Mwangaza TV, tumaini lako.
Unatazama Mwangaza TV, tumaini lako.
Welcome back, and moving forward is that the Parliamentary Committee on Administration and National Security has kicked off investigations on Narok County clashes that erupted recently. The committee toured 3 areas for the fact-finding mission on the inter-clan clashes in First-Mara West boundaries and fighting between 2 communities in Narok South and North. Over that has so far left more than 10 people dead and more than 40 houses burnt.
For emergency, as a committee, we can recommend. Not that we have exactly what you're asking, but as a National Security Committee, we know for emergency money we can have for Narok.
Saa hii amani Ololoipangi imeingia, Nadupoi, barabara zimefunguka, watu wanaenda Ololunga bila shida. Nduru imekoma. Mtu mgeni akiingia area hii atafikiri sisi ni watu wazuri sana, sisi ni watu wa kanisa sana, lakini kumbe 1 week iliyopita yale sarakasi ilikuwa hapa, hata uwezi amini. Sisi tumeamua kama security team hapa tutatreat mshale na uta the way huwa tunatreat bunduki, sababu kwetu hiyo ndio 90% ile silaha inatumika kuua watu wetu na kuumiza watu wetu. So kwetu hiyo mishale kwetu tunachukua kama guruneti, sababu ndio inaua mtu, na ndio sababu tulianzisha exercise ya kurokota mishale. Watu wengi wakashangaa, nyuta sasa na hii ni kitu tu ya kufukuza mwizi. Kwetu nyuta hapa sio ya kufukuza mwizi, ni ya kuua Mkenya.
Wakati mtu ako na bunduki ana haja ya kupiga nduru, si anasema ukuje saa yote, akilala iko kwa kichwa, si anasema ukuje saa yote. Sisi tunapiga nduru kwa sababu hatujui. Ni kama hawa watu wana plan hii maneno mapema sana. Tunastukia kuna maboma hapo wanaweka watu wafita, na tunajua, we all know. Tunajua ni poma gani ngambo hiyo Ololoipangi anaweka watu wafita. Ng'ombe zinachinjwa huko na mtu tu. Kwani juzi tukitafuta ng'ombe, nilikuwa huko, tukajaribu kutafuta ng'ombe, tukaona vijana wa Masai huko, vijana wa Kale huko wamejihami. Baada ya 20 minutes bwana ICC, risasi zikapigwa, nyumba zikachomwa, na ni hawa watu. Hawa ndio sisi tunaona tuko huko. So there should be a total disarmament of these illegal weapons in this area. Alafu watu sasa waishi kwa amani.
Machakos County Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua has expressed concern and dangers with the rising number of COVID-19 in the country. Speaking in his office in Machakos, Dr. Mutua said he fully supports President Uhuru Kenyatta's decision on extension of curfew and lockdown in the country. The governor has further directed that no lorries transiting goods from Mombasa will be allowed to stop in Machakos except for fueling only.
Therefore, I fully support the measures taken by President Uhuru Kenyatta to continue with the curfew and to continue with the lockdown. Most of the cases that we've gotten in Machakos have emanated from Nairobi. Not even most. Basically, all the cases have links to Nairobi or to the transporters transporting things coming from Mombasa. So Machakos has cases because they have been brought to us. So we think that if we continue with the measures that the president has pushed and we continue being safe for another 1 month, then it will give us, it will put us in a position to gauge properly what is working and what is not working. I'd like to say that in Machakos, we are still continuing to ensure that we are prepared. We hold emergency meetings every week. And so far, we have 10 ICU beds in our government hospitals and 5 in the private hospitals. So Machakos has 15 ICU beds. We have ordered more machines and we expect them to be here within a month or so. So we'll have an extra 10 new ICU beds. So we'll have a total of 25 ICU beds within a month or two in Machakos County. We already have 350 isolation beds spread across different locations, and these are expandable up to about 1,000 if need be at a moment's notice. We already have allocated an ambulance per sub-county just to deal with COVID, for surveillance and for response and for monitoring. So we have 9 ambulances set aside to undertake the work of COVID-19. And we are lucky we have a testing lab that is testing for COVID. I request our people to obey the regulations that are there and to ensure that we follow the directives of the president.
Residents from parts of Dry Thika East in Kiambu County have vowed to kill hungry monkeys invading their homes and farms to destroy crops. For the last 3 weeks, residents said that the monkeys have been attacking their farms in dozens in search of food. It is believed the monkeys crossed from Muranga County through River Chania and have now left a trail of destruction on their farms in the area experienced low rainfall. Stella Karaoke reports.
For the last 3 weeks, residents said that the monkeys have been attacking their farms in dozens in search of food. It is believed the monkeys crossed from Muranga County through River China and have now left a trail of destruction on farms in the area that experiences low rainfall. The animals have now started to sneak the residents' home in the area to steal food, with some residents forced to spare time to chase the animals.
Tuko na shida kidogo ya monkeys inakujaga hapa kwetu. Zinakula vitu nyingi.
The residents, most of who are small-scale farmers, lamented having incurred huge losses from the massive destruction executed by the shameless monkeys.
Leo inakujaga kwa mashamba, inatuharibia kila kitu, mimea, hata zingine haijakuwa, inakuja inaanza kukula. Ikiwa ni mandizi zinaendelea tu kukula.
The vervet monkeys have been destroying all types of crops, among them maize, beans, lemons, avocados, passion, among others, leaving residents of Komo and Gatwanyanga villages worried.
Hii machungwa nilipanda ikiwa miti 3. Na hakuna nilikuja nikaitoa zote kwa sababu theru inakuja inachuna, inaharibu. Sasa nikaitoa ikiwa hata haijaiva vizuri, nikaipeleka kwa nyumba. Tunashuna kama haijakuwa kwa sababu ikiwa ni mandizi ukiwacha unakuta imekuliwa. Kwa hivyo ukikuta kamekuwa kidogo unakata kaenda kwa nyumba, watoto wakule tu ikiwa hivyo.
They now want prompt interventions done by the relevant government agencies before they hit the ground and start killing the animals. Reporting from Mwangaza Prime News at Thika, I'm Stella Karaoke.
Hundreds of teachers in private learning institutions within Nakuru County have called in the national and the county governments to listen to them list them among the vulnerable group. The teachers under the umbrella Nakuru County Board of Management and Private School Association said the closure of schools have had negative impact on their payrolls. They noted that most private schools within the county fully depend on operations of the school to generate revenue to meet teachers' salaries and other operational costs, which is currently not the case.
Currently, the situation from March to date and extending to September, the situation will not be favorable to the BOM and the private school teachers. We've seen funds have been set aside for this other industry. We call it the tourism industry, the music industry also. But the question is, what about Mwalimu? What about the teachers? Teachers are also assailable. They are also vulnerable. It is also time for our president to also think otherwise for the teachers. They need to feed their families. They need to pay their bills. The current situation with the private schools is the customer, who is also the pupil in the school, is not in school. So private schools, most of them cannot raise that money to pay their teachers. Therefore, we are calling for the government, especially our president. You spoke well on Saturday. Speak well now. Talk about the teachers. Without teachers in the society, there is no society there. The schools were closed indefinitely. Parents had not been warned. Fee had not been completed. So even if we push them to the walls, where will they get the monies to pay us? And that's why we are coming out and we are saying that we are also assailable, we are also vulnerable. We also need a share of that money that the president had given out for the vulnerable.
We are lacking representation completely, and the government is silent on us. Our cry today is that the government should hear us. We have siblings to take care of. We have families to take care of. And we have no one to run to but the government. And the silence is really killing us. We are requesting that you do something and you also help us hear our cry nationwide so that we get something to take care of our families.
And now we have to go back to Nakuru family agony, where a family in Nakuru Section 58 estate is calling on for a thorough probe at Nakuru Level 5 hospital after their newborn baby was allegedly switched with a dead one. Alice Ochuka, the victim, has said she delivered a bouncing baby boy at the hospital through cesarean section. However, after 2 days of breastfeeding the baby, she was informed he had died. Margaret Campbell has the details.
Alice Ochuka, the victim, said she delivered a bouncing baby boy at the hospital through cesarean section. However, after 2 days of breastfeeding the baby, she was informed he had died. Hospital documents given to Ochuka, however, do not match her description of the baby she delivered, with the same revealing that the baby in question died during birth.
That 21st, Thursday, nikaenda hiyo PGH. Nikatendiwa, nikaambiwa ni relax, nikapewa dawa, nikaambiwa ni relax juu ya hiyo pressure. So after kurelax, pressure ilikata kushuka, nikapelekwa Great Kenyatta Mother's Baby Wing. Nikakuwa admitted kwa ward A. Ward A nikalala juu niliambiwa niende ultrasound, sikuwa na pesa on that very day. Sasa Friday nikaambiwa niende ultrasound. After kuambiwa niende ultrasound, after bringing the results, nikaambiwa mtoto anaweza choka, nikakuwa ni emergency, napelekwa theater on that very Friday after the results. After theater, it was around saa 10, mtoto akapelekwa nursery. Nikabaki huko juu ya hizo ili ni gain 6, nikapelekwa ward B.
She added that the nurses on duty demanded she produces the tag since the baby could not be accounted for, adding that she was confused. After a few minutes of search, they broke to her the news that her baby had died under unclear circumstances.
Akaniuliza lebo ya mtoto iko wapi? Naambia lebo ya mtoto, nyinyi ndio mlireceive mtoto akiwa na lebo. Mulimwekea lebo ambapo imeandikwa Alice. Mpaka nyinyi ndio mliniambia mtoto ndio huyu. So akaniambia juu tumetafuta lebo tujapata, mtoto wako amekufa. Nikamuuliza ako wapi? Baba hata yeye alitafuta. Sasa nurse mwenye aliketi alimwambia ndio huyu ako huko kwa hii form, sijui waliita hiyo nini yao aje.
Being confused over the incident, Adhiambo said that the nurse took advantage of her situation, forcing her to sign forms that indicated the baby was dead and that she confirmed the same, adding that she was brought a dead body of a child.
Ati yako hapa. Kwenda kuangalia mtoto is green. Waliniandikia hizo, kuna form nyingine ilikuwa hapo ya huyo mtoto iko na namba nyingine. Yangu kwa kliniki iko na namba nyingine. So wakati auntie alikuwa anashughulikia mambo ya bill juu sasa sikubeba mtoto juu niliacha. So walidispose. So disposal you have to pay 2K. So wakati alikuwa anaendelea kulipa hiyo namba inatoa John Ng'ang'a.
Lillian Adhiambo, the aunt, said she went to the hospital to confirm the incident, adding that on reaching the ward, the news was unfathomable.
Akaniambia auntie, nishatoka theater, mtoto nimefanyia operation na nimepata mtoto ni mtoto kijana. Lakini hata daktari anasema kuna nguvu, ana shida yoyote, tutamweka tu for sometimes kwa incubator hapo kwa alafu tutatoka. Period of 1 hour. Hata mtoto kama anakufa. Mtoto anakuwa green namna gani?
However, the hospital medical superintendent Joseph Mburu admitted that indeed there was a mistake in the birth notification document, which indicated the baby was born dead, saying the baby was alive and taken to the nursery. Margaret Campbell reporting for Mwangaza Primetime News.
It's a remorseful story of the lady, but let's leave that in the hand of God. And moving forward is that the rise of COVID-19 in the country has brought so much negative effects on the most hit by the effects being street families who highly depend on Kenyans of goodwill. Mwangaza Media Group has been on the forefront of giving hope and support to the most affected by COVID-19. Our reporter Maureen Wanjiru has prepared a special report about the lives of the families and how they are coping during this era of COVID-19.
They are everywhere. They knock on car window and just make a signal they are hungry. But what do we really know about them? And does the society think of how they can be helped? They are ignored, pitied and feared in equal measure. They use all means to get what they want, as they seem to hustle almost everyone for their daily bread. And we set out a journey at Roysambu to catch up with the street children. About 40 of them reside here. Florence Wangari, who is a mother of 2 and raised the children alone, they stay at market stores, not minding the cold or even the rain. She says that she borrows money from people so that she can be able to feed her children.
Tukikaa katika hii mji ya Roysambu muda mrefu, na kitu ya kwanza kama nimeoleka na mzee akaniacha na mtoto wa kwanza. Mtoto wa kwanza nikawa nimemrudisha kwa wazazi wa bwana, nikapata na bwana mwingine, niko watoto wawili kwa bwana mmoja, lakini kaja nikapata na mwanaume mwingine akaja akanipatia mimba ya huyu kijana wangu. Ndio nikakaa nikaona venye ananitesa katika hii barabara ya Roysambu. Nikaondoka nikaenda mahali panaitwa Korokocho.
One of her kids has diabetes, which is a bigger challenge to her, and she doesn't have any child card. And this is because of financial cost, and this forced her to seek refuge in the streets. And due to COVID-19, all she has is to pray God to protect her children.
Kama ni binadamu, watoto wangelikuwa hai, lakini sio, Mungu anaishi na anawalinda usiku na mchana. Nashukuru Mungu. Napata challenges kama mmoja anatumia dawa za ARVs, na wakati nilifukuzwa huyo mtoto alikosa dawa za ARVs, sababu nilifaa nikuwe na kadi yake na dawa zake. Sasa nisipokuwa na kadi siwezi enda hospitali, lazima nikuwe na changamoto ya mtoto wa kwanza. Mimi mwenyewe nafaa nitumie ARVs. Ningepata serikali isaidie watoto wetu, na hasa mpaka na wale tuko nao kwa street, tupate kila mtu nyumba yake, na kila mtu apate pale anaweza jishikilia, ili pale hata kama ni kwenda kazi, mtu anaweza fanya kazi na apate kitu ya kupatia watoto, na hata kama kungeliwezekana mtu apate nyumba yake na apate pale anaweza pata tu riziki yake tu kidogo, tunaweza furahia sana.
Due to curfew, they have been facing bigger challenges because some of them are beaten by the police.
Max, hatuna pesa ya Max. Na wengi wetu hata tunalala njaa, wengine hatuna kwa kukaa, tunalala nje, tunakaa kwa cotton, tunalala kwa cotton.
Ikifika time ya curfew, tunaenda kulala huko kwa vibanda, cheki. Tunaenda kulala huko, wanatufukuza. wakitushika wanaona hao ni watu hawana kitu, wanatuachilia. Lakini watu wenye wako na ndoo sisi wanatutandika, unaona, wanatutandika. Wenye wako na ndoo wanapeana ndoo, wanawachiliwa.
Lakini sisi tukishika tunachapwa.
Imenifanya hivi, nimepigwa saa hizi huku mambavu, huku nipigwa jana huku. Hii nimefura hapa. Hii nikakutolea hii shati hii. Haki ya Mungu nadhaona.
Jedida Wajiko, who sells food to the street children, says that it is difficult at times for them to pay food. She is urging the government to help them.
Nafanya kazi hapa Roysambu ya hoteli na supply chai kwa majamaa wa mtaani, kuuzia donut na chai. Kuna time huwa anapata wakienda kwaso, wanaokota cartons, machuma, wananunua. Lakini sometimes huwa anapata challenges. Saa zingine mtu anakuambia ni yake lakini anajua anado. Saa zingine tunakimbishana juu hajalipa. So wangeokolewa apate wera, hata kwangu ingekuwa ni hizi kunilipa.
But seeing how they look, this brought to life the challenges street families are forced to endure day in and day out. They sell recyclable materials to make a living. Many of them have suffered from malnutrition, lack of sleep, and bear the pain from the continued exposure to the cold and the rain. They find the street as the place to end their misery, but even in the street, they are more vulnerable and they find it harsh. They are subjected to a whole range of violence and abuse. They have talents and they want to go back to school. They know that if they are brought back to the society, they will be underestimated due to their past adversity life.
Mi venye tu Mungu atanipangia ndio mimi nitakubali. Kosi ni yoyote yenye tu tanipea. Carpenter yoyote tu. Sometimes tunaenda tunatafuta plastic ama chuma tunauza.
Despite the fact that many things seems normal, it is a different scenario to the street children who may not understand them. Lack of support from the government have made them to yearn for employment in order to be able to put food on the table. Despite that, they would like to start a family and be shown love.
Iangalie vijana wa Roysambu, at least tupate si nyumba, tupate kazi ya kufanya. Tukipata kazi ya kufanya tutanjua kunjipanga, tukomboe nyumba, tuoe. Chakula, kuna masponsor wanakujanga wanatupea chakula hapa. Saa ingine hawakuji, wanajeshi pale wananiita, mimi ndio naende yangu mimi. Na saa ingine tukikosa tunakaa hivyo.
Nataka kama yenyewe angalia watu kama yani wewe wanatulia wa street boys, unaona?
Sasa hawa watu kama wataenda wapi? Wataenda wapi? Serikali iangalie vijana wa mtaani.
They have conveyed a vote of thanks to Mwangaza Media Group fraternity for food and for masks. And even though their search for better life remains elusive, these people have dreams and aspirations.
Thank you for providing us for this food, for those supporters. We are saying thank you and God bless you. Kwa zile zote zimetoka kwenye zote wenye wametoa mfuko zao ziweze kuongezeka.
Given the chance, they can become important people in the society. The question is, who is hearing their cry? Reporting for Mwangaza TV at Roysambu, Nairobi County, Maureen Wanjiro, Mwangaza TV at Roysambu in Nairobi County.
Thank you so much, Maureen Wanjiro, and thank you so much to our dear viewer watching us from home. Thank you for watching and joining us tonight. My name is Esther WAITHERA, and my sign language interpreter is Naomi Mathu. Wish you a lovely night.
Unatazama Mwangaza TV. tumaini lako.
Kipindi hiki kimeletwa kwako na Jewel Purified Drinking Water.